Okay, we're live. Well, welcome to another Nerd Soccer interview podcast. This is Greg Valoria, aka Social Greg, on Twitter for the Nerd Soccer Media Network. And today we'll be using the Samson Go Connect mic, which is something we're testing out right now. It's actually on my laptop. I usually use a offline mic, a little bit warmer, but we told Samson we'll test this out, so we're going to test it out on this interview here. So anyway, today we're pleased to talk with Bill Thompson, author and entrepreneur, and he wrote a great story for us on Nerd Soccer called "Taking a Chance on Life," and last month, and it's about his path becoming an author. So it was a great motivational piece, I thought, and it gives a lot of people a glimmer of hope who's out there waiting to cross a career divide when they're at a crossroads, and especially later in life. So anyway, good afternoon or good evening, Bill. Thanks for joining us on Nerd Soccer live from Dallas, Texas area, right?
That's right. Thanks, Greg. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, interesting story. So, let's get into this. Let's talk about, can you cover the path leading to you becoming an author for the audience?
Yeah, basically, I was a corporate entrepreneur in one way or another for almost 50 years. And my wife, who had been my wife for 42 years, developed a rare neurological disease. And over the last couple of years of her life, I became less and less of a corporate entrepreneur and more of a caregiver. Time it was all over, I had dug out an old book that I had written 30 years ago, rewrote it, published it. And then when she died, I realized there's more to life than work. And there are things that somebody should go after instead of putting in the hours at work. So I decided to do something different, became an author. I didn't really think I was really an author until I did the second book, and then I could call myself a real author.
So tell how old were you when you kind of had this crossroads with your wife's illness and everything?
I was 62.
Wow, so you were really late. I mean, these days careers last a little bit longer, but that you were in later in your career, I guess. And what were you doing at the
time? My son and I had a company that was in the computer memory upgrade business. In the old days, you could open the back of your Apple and put in some more RAM memory. Doesn't work that way much anymore, but he started that company years ago, and I came on as his chief operating officer and then later in other roles. And so in 2012, he got an offer to sell the company, and that was exactly at the time that everything else was coming together, and it worked out perfectly.
Wow. So yeah, with this thing you were talking about is that there's a lot of probably, I don't know, if it were me, we'd be going through my mind is uncertainty, fear, all those adjectives. Can you kind of describe that? What we're going through?
Yeah, the biggest thing is you've got this corporate safety net, and you if your computer doesn't work, you call the IT department, and if you need a mass mailing to a bunch of customers, you call the marketing department, and you get your assistant to order a pizza, and then all of a sudden you're doing all those things yourself. So yeah, it's a big leap, and from things like health insurance to all that infrastructure, it's suddenly totally different than I had ever had it my entire life. So it was a leap, but it was time, and it was a good place in my career. I mean, as you pointed out, I was close to retirement anyway, and so it was the place where I needed to do this.
Now, was there something in everyone talks about the little voice, right? I mean, whatever that voice is, it could be spiritual, could be a lot of other things. But was there something that pushed you over that edge that said, okay, we're going to go do this now?
No, I think it was more just the journey I'd had in 2 years with my wife of really having a lot of time to sit and talk and realize what's important in life. And the biggest thing being, I mean, my wife was a corporate executive herself. She was a national training director for a New York Stock Exchange listed company. The day she was diagnosed with a terminal disease, she quit. She said, there's more to life than work. Well, I took that to heart, and I said, that's exactly right. And she said, the last year of my life, I'm damn sure not going to sit around and work. So we spent a lot of time together, and I thought that same thing to myself.
So I guess that time you spent together, you discovered a lot of things, not only about each other, about yourself, about the journey you're on, huh?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and you kind of begin to look more closely at what's really important.
Yeah, no, I wow, that's wonderful. I think that advice is really good for anyone, and no matter what the age, right? I mean, whether especially leaving a corporate environment, it's safe, like you said, comfortable, a lot of perks. Compensation definitely is probably one of them that makes your life a little bit more comfortable. The health insurance, like you said, I think that's a big thing in people's mind these days, right? I think I hear stories all the time is that, I decided to go, to do this because of the health insurance,
Exactly.
It's expensive. It's expensive for everybody, so. But anyway, I guess, I appreciate you kind of talking about that. And, is there any advice on how to approach this to other people that you'd like to give people,
I don't know that I can really give advice. It's something I hope nobody else ever has to do, and yet a lot of people will. It's a really sobering time when you realize that there's not some time left. There's this very short period of time left. And a doctor even can tell you how many months it is, and so it's it really makes you sit back and take note of what's important. So I don't know that there's any advice. There's lots of self-help books on this thing, but I just winged it, and she did too. So and we got through it. It was an awful thing, but I think she really helped me end up where I am now.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Now it takes faith. That's the way I could call it to cross that line, and some belief in yourself, and that you could do it, So, wow, that's interesting. Let's shift to now that you're an author. Can you talk about that journey now, becoming an author? Because you went through self-publishing, right? And can you share with the audience maybe some tips you learned about being an author? Because it's a different time now. You could self-publish, which is really a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Years ago, when I started this first book, the world was vanity publishing, and vanity publishing meant you had a garage full of books, and you spent $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 to end up seeing your name on the cover of a book. It's so much different today, and it really all started, really seriously started in about 2009, 2010, which was exactly when I was getting started. So I used an independent publishing house to do my first 2 or 3 books. And it was a sort of pay to play thing. You could buy whatever pieces you wanted, and then you could do whatever else you wanted yourself. I gravitated after a while to Amazon's CreateSpace, which is the company now that does my books, and it's honestly one of the simplest things in the world to do. Anybody can have a book on Amazon. CreateSpace costs nothing. You get your book together, you get it all ready, and you put it on CreateSpace, and a week later you're published. And if you want an ebook, you've got that. If you want a paperback, you've got that. It really works well. But all of the little pieces I'm still doing, I have been doing myself, like marketing, getting the word out, setting up book clubs, going to book fairs, trying to just talk to everybody that will listen about books. So it's a long road, but and every author, I think, would rather write than market. So all the time that I have to do that, I'm sitting there thinking, gosh, I could be writing another book. But if I don't market my books, nobody will ever buy them.
That's interesting you say that, because I think most creatives are like that. I mean, I have a lot of artist friends, filmmakers, and they told me, Greg, man, I'd rather create art than sell it or market it, you know. And
Oh, yeah.
I hear that all the time, Bill. I think, you know, you're just like another artist. You know, it's you want to create, you want to be creative, right? So
Right, exactly. And it'd be great if you could pay somebody else to do all the other stuff, but you got to have got to sell some books first.
yeah, wow. And how many books have you written to date now?
I just finished my 10th book.
Wow. So in a period of 6 years, you've published 10 books, right? Wow.
Yeah. And some of them at first it was really slow. Now I'm on a real path now to do 3 books a year, and it has worked well.
Wow. Yeah, I guess what we could do is we could have another show about just being an author. You know, because
It's a lot of fun.
yeah, I mean, you know, it sounds like it just like any art. It takes some discipline, takes some planning in your life to make sure that you're on
Right.
track. You know, it just takes some dedication, I guess, and passion. So just like a lot of things. Wow. So, you know, let's just go into the book, I guess. Can you talk about your latest books, like Order of Succession and Outcast?
Yeah, the Order of Succession came about as the idea that 2 airplanes go down. Air Force Two goes down with the Vice President and the Secretary of State on board, and then on the other side of the world, within 20 minutes, Air Force One goes down with the President and his family on board. So all of a sudden, the Speaker of the House, who is in a different political party, and who is a boorish bully of a man who is reminiscent of some people that we might know from today, becomes president of the United States, improbably. And he has all kinds of agendas. He has all kinds of dubious friends. And it begins to become clear that all of this was not accidental, that he's right in the middle of all of it. So
Right.
that was the theory about Order of Succession. And it is one of a series of books that features a protagonist that I created in my first book, whose name is Brian Sadler, who is an antiquities dealer originally from Texas, but living in New York City.
Wow. That's incredible.
So
It's neat you have a
that's what
connection.
happened on that.
Wow.
And then the other one, this is the other one. This is The Outcast. This book just came. This is not actually out yet. It'll be out on December 10th.
Okay.
And this book is an apocalyptic thriller about life in 2094. And all of the problems of the world began with the elections of 2016, when 2 people that a lot of the world didn't like ran against each other. One was elected by a team. The Congress was switched from one party to the other by the voters. And by 2020, the Social Democratic Party had made a foothold in 50 states, and they swept both houses of Congress and the presidency. And for the next 20 years, we had a social democratic society until the last election ever in America, which was in 2040.
Whoa. Holy
So
moly.
after that, there's a series of apocalyptic events. There's the big one in California. I'm sorry you're out there, but you better get away by 2042, according to me at least. So the enemies of America strike because we're at a weak point, and we strike back, and all of a sudden there's a world union created that runs the entire globe. And the biggest thing they put into place is a means to control population, because that's the biggest problem the world has. So they put a lottery system in place. Everybody's got a chip, and they put a lottery in place, and if your number's drawn, you have to report to be euthanized. And the population will that way stay at 11 billion people worldwide.
Whoa.
So there are people called outcasts who don't have a chip. The government doesn't know they exist. And that's the premise of that book.
That's wonderful. That's a great story. I mean, appropriate.
That was a fun book. Yeah, appropriate. Yeah. Some people said, well, it sounds like Lyndon Johnson. I said, yeah, it sounds like Lyndon Johnson. It sounds like other people too. It sounds like a hodgepodge of people.
Yeah. But that's what's creating fiction's all about, right, Bill?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, is letting people use their imagination in the book to draw parallels, right?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Wow. That's I'm actually in the middle of Order of Succession because actually there's a bunch of movies and some shows that are kind of using that same kind of theme out right now. So
Yeah, like
yeah.
and Designated Survivor being one of them, which I think is a great show.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I hope some of your books become movies. I think they could be some feature
I
films.
hope so too.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. Good. No, I'm glad we got up to catch up with you. And right, this is going to be a Thanksgiving probably release show, so I really appreciate your time and squeezing us in here for this interview because I've been wanting to interview about the article, but also about the new books that are coming up. One thing I wanted to mention real quick before we go away that NPR. After the elections was talking about similar things to Outcast, actually, about parallels of the Roman Empire, or they were just talking about big empires like the United States and the
Yeah.
Roman Empire, and what issues they had to deal with before they hit their collapse. So it's we won't think about that right now, but anyway, Bill, we'll move forward and thank you again. I know you had to squeeze this in, and you have a
You're
busy
welcome.
schedule. So.
I'd be happy to talk to you again about any subject you want to talk about.
Oh no, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about self-publishing a little bit more in detail. Probably that would be a great show. But can you tell the audience how to get your book currently and how to learn more about it?
Well, they're available on Amazon. The easiest way to find out what they are is my website, which is billthompsonbooks.com. I'm on Twitter at bthompsonbooks, on Facebook. So you can just go anywhere. But the easiest way to see all the titles is the website, billthompsonbooks.com.
Okay. Well, thank you again. Anyway,
all on Amazon.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah. Anyway, everyone, that was Bill Thompson, author and entrepreneur. And he told you about his great books and also his personal story, which was really wonderful. And he's the author of the latest book, Order of Succession, which is out currently. And it's available on Amazon.com, as he said, and ebooks, if you want ebooks, Kindle for sure. So anyway, thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Greg Gloria, AK Social Greg on Twitter for the Nerd Stalker Media Network. We believe in tech, startups, design, and you. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and be careful there. Anyway, Bill, have a great Thanksgiving, huh?
Thank you very much. You too. Appreciate it.